You know, what happened last week
I'm expressing my fear. Do not touch.
in a council meeting resulted in what I think everybody in the world is calling an illegal arrest and a violation of someone's First Amendment rights. That's clearly not what we're about, and that is not what happened.
In a video a few weeks ago, I told you about the city of Surprise, Arizona, and its mayor, Skip Hall, who violated the First Amendment by arresting this woman, Rebecca Massey, in front of her 10-year-old daughter for criticizing a public official at a city council meeting.
Oral communications during the city council meeting may not be used to lodge charges or complaints against any employee of the city. Do you want to be escorted out of here?
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
Talking. Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out of
Really,
this
is that necessary?
chamber?
Unbelievably, now the city has dug in its heels, with the chief of police just issuing a video statement to all of his police officers that was supposed to remain private, supporting that violation of the First Amendment and encouraging them to continue to violate the First Amendment rights of their citizens.
What I would call trolls and bots that have anonymously posted lots of things criticizing me.
Trolls and bots. That's what he thinks of his community. That's what he thinks of American citizens. That's what he thinks of you, trolls and bots. In reality, because this woman's First Amendment rights were violated, the criminal charges had to be dismissed. A national First Amendment advocacy organization filed a lawsuit against the city on her behalf, making national news.
The story is making national headlines. Rebecca Massey was arrested late last month in front of her 10-year-old daughter after complaining about the city attorney during that council meeting. Now she's suing the city, mayor, and officer who arrested her. Connor Fitzpatrick is an attorney with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, representing Massey in the case.
The First Amendment prevents the government from hauling people away to jail or in handcuffs just because the government doesn't like what they have to say.
You know, asking for me to fire the officer involved. That's not going to happen. Officer Shornikoff acted in with absolute speed to carry out the mission as directed that evening.
I need you to step out with me.
No.
You are under arrest. Do you understand that?
If you see Steve running around, make certain you know that he knows that you support him. That is why our motto is, we are your police department.
We are your police.
We are your police.
We are your...
I work hard to bring you the whole story about the egregious things that you see happening in my videos, and it can be very difficult to understand, well, what is the whole story? What's happening? I have to constantly sort through the bias, the propaganda, the misinformation that's coming at us from the legacy media. Who can you trust for accurate, unbiased news these days? I've been using Straight Arrow News to keep me informed without the spin. Straight Arrow News is an app and a website that delivers unbiased, fact-based journalism. No agendas, just facts, allowing you to form your own opinions. Their commitment to neutrality means that you get all the sides to the story, and not just one. Just like this channel, they believe in the power of knowledge. Knowledge that empowers you, the individual, to engage in our civil discourse armed with the actual facts, not feelings of facts. Download the Straight Arrow News app or visit their website. Go to san.com/civil to check it out now, or click the link in the description below. And when you visit, you'll help me continue doing what I do, and you'll also stay informed and unbiased. So thanks to Straight Arrow News for supporting the channel, and now let's get back to the video. In a surprise move, the city of Surprise, Arizona is defending this unconstitutional arrest of a mother merely for criticizing public officials at a city council meeting. Surprise Police Chief Benny Pena issued an internal video to his police officers a week after the incident, defiantly defending this blatant constitutional violation and advising his police officers on how they should respond to First Amendment auditors. I mean, is this even real? Let's go through it.
Hey, good morning, team. I just wanted to take a quick moment here to get this out real quick. You know, what happened last week in a council meeting resulted in what I think everybody in the world is calling an illegal arrest and a violation of someone's First Amendment rights. That's clearly not what we're about, and that is not what happened.
Actually, that is literally what happened. It made national news. We all saw it. It was on video.
I've got to interrupt you here because
Okay, are you going to stop the timer?
this is the public meeting forum that you agree to when you speak. Oral communications during the city council meeting may not be used to lodge charges or complaints against any employee of the city. Do you want to be escorted out
You're
of here? or are
violating
you
my
gonna
First
stop
Amendment rights.
Talking. Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out of
Really,
this
is that
chamber?
necessary?
Yes, I
In
think
front
it
of my
is.
10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with you.
rights.
I need you to step out with me.
No.
Okay.
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Why am I being detained? Under what charges? Under what charges?
And so what I'm going to do is kind of intro Sergeant Rothschild to talk about a few things to avoid when confronted by a First Amendment auditor. Now, we know that stuff's going to be happening. Our social media and online presence has been affected not only by what I would call trolls and bots that have anonymously posted lots of things, criticizing me, criticizing the department, and more importantly, asking for me to fire the officer involved. That's not going to happen. We took action that night to complete what we normally would do, which is a use of force report. We took real quick action to make certain that we were in alignment with what our policy is and what our philosophy is, which is
Okay, there's national headlines in a federal lawsuit accusing you of violating the First Amendment of the Constitution. And your concern is whether or not you're in alignment with what?
real quick action to make certain that we were in alignment with what our policy is and what our philosophy is, which is
His concern is whether or not he's in alignment with their philosophy and their policies. No mention at all of the Constitution, no mention at all of the First Amendment. This is about power and law enforcement circling the wagons to protect their own, as he'll tell you.
to take the next steps to make certain that we were in a position of power to show that we, and specifically Officer Shornikoff, acted in with absolute speed to carry out the mission as directed that evening.
I need you to step out with me.
No.
Okay.
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Do not put your hands on me.
I need you to step out with me right
Do
now.
not put your hands on me.
Come on out.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now before you get arrested.
And so understand, when something doesn't look right or something doesn't look popular, that doesn't mean it's wrong.
Why am I under arrest?
For trespassing.
For what purpose? This is a meeting that is open to the public.
You were asked to please stop.
Can you stand up?
I cannot because you have the handcuffs too tight and my pants are falling down and I'm not getting up. Ow! Kevin, can you call Brian? Alex, there's a
104, can you serve me a keys unit over to the city hall?
And I've told him he has our support as an executive team, my support as police chief, and that goes all the way up through our city management.
Yeah, no sh**.
Okay, so
I have personal property.
Hold on.
You cannot touch me.
yeah, I know. She can go out there. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into E-session.
Motion to go into E-session?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're going into E-session.
So with all the stuff that's going on and around the outside, don't focus on that. Focus on doing your job, and let's avoid any more conflict. And so that's what Sergeant Rothschild is going to talk about. The last thing is make certain that if you see Steve running around, make certain you know that he knows that you support him, that we all care for him and his family, because this always affects the families as well. And so there'll be some other things coming. how we're going to protect your identity, and if you haven't gotten your information redacted, please do that. We know that some of the folks online have already either doxed or tried to dox the mayor, and we want to avoid that for any of you that end up in one of these situations.
So now they're worried about shielding their identities from the public, from the outraged public. But this police department has more social media content using the identities of their officers than I think I've ever seen.
My name's Benny Pena. I'm the police chief of the city of Surprise. We're constantly evaluating our skill set so that we can deliver whatever challenges the future brings us.
Come on out.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now before you get arrested.
Hello everyone, Officer Chernikov with the Surprise Police Department Traffic Division. Today we're going to be talking about emergency vehicles. All drivers must immediately pull over to the right-hand side of the roadway. Remember these rules if you encounter emergency vehicles on the roadway. And as always, drive wise. Surprise.
Hey, Officer Bloodworth, how about 10 questions before you go 10-8?
All right.
You're going on vacation. You go to the beach, safari, or the forest. Hey, Officer Husky, how about 10 questions before you go 10-8?
Sure.
On your day off, where can you be found?
At the gym?
Hey, Officer Karp, how about 10 questions before you go 10-8?
All right.
All right. Did you serve in the military?
I did.
What is your current police assignment?
I work for TSD.
Which is what?
SWAT.
Hey, Officer Ortega, how about 10 questions before you go 10-8?
Send it.
How long have you been a cop?
6 years.
Favorite movie?
Our chief, he's preparing us for when we get bigger, as we have been for years, but to be successful 10, 15, 20 years from now with the support of City Council and even our citizens.
We are very focused on first listening to what the needs of the community are.
Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out of
Really,
this
is that
chamber?
necessary?
Yes, I
In
think
front
it
of
is.
my 10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with you.
rights.
I need you to step out with me.
And we base our training on that input directly from our community.
It's even more vital and more important that our officers stay in tune and stay connected with the community.
Why am I under arrest?
For trespassing.
For what purpose? This is a meeting that is open to the public.
That emotional equity that they gain from meeting the citizens that are inside the homes that they are patrolling allows them to be inspired to train harder and be better prepared for any emergency should the call come.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now before you get arrested.
That is why our motto is, we are your police department.
We are your police.
We are your police.
We are your...
Unfortunate, but it probably will happen in your career at some point. Somebody will criticize you, and as long as we are all together and we're stay unified, you'll have my support.
So now the good chief is going to have his First Amendment expert speak to the troops about how you deal with First Amendment auditors trying to enforce that pesky First Amendment. And this guy is highly qualified, let me tell you. I did some background research on him. He'll tell you about the department he used to work at where he gained his experience. And it happens to be such a great department that did such a fantastic job under his tutelage that the U.S. Department of Justice had to take unprecedented steps to investigate them, to sue them, and announce to the whole country that they are the worst, especially as First Amendment violators.
Hey everyone, my name's Jamie. I work over at the police department. And before I came to work at this city, I worked at another city where I got a fair amount of experience with community action teams, community responses, responding to various issues that go on in the community with protests and First Amendment audits and such.
We're following breaking news out of Arizona, where the Justice Department says the Phoenix Police Department has repeatedly violated the civil rights of residents.
Years worth of allegations against the police department involving all manner of alleged misconduct. Now, what the DOJ found is that the Phoenix Police Department engaged in discriminatory policing against Black, Hispanic, and Native American residents, that they unfairly targeted homeless residents of the city of Phoenix, that they used excessive force, unnecessarily escalated incidents. One thing that stands out to me about this set of findings, guys, that's very interesting and historic, is that this is the first time the DOJ has found a police department to have systematically and unlawfully targeted the city's homeless population.
Just wanted to put out some simple reminders. If you're ever approached by someone who might be trying to pull you into a conversation or trying to pull you into taking some sort of action, first and foremost, take a breath. Be calm. Sometimes we want to engage. People might put a camera in your face or tell you that you're wrong or try to confront you. And if you can just take that moment, maybe find a coworker. Sometimes people aren't really aware of how to respond in these situations. So always take that moment, collect yourself. It is okay to ask clarifying questions, but what we always try to do is balance the rights of the community, the public, with our responsibilities as city employees. And so in those situations, if you're ever approached, some people call them First Amendment audits. Some people are just confronted with folks who want to ask questions in a demanding manner. Take the breath, talk to your supervisor, talk to your coworker. And again, we want to try and find that balance between protecting everyone's rights, but yet still being able to protect the community.
When it comes to recording the police, the DOJ wrote that Phoenix officers don't understand people's constitutional rights. Quote, "The First Amendment protects the right to peacefully film police officers performing their duties in public. We found numerous instances where people filmed Phoenix PD activity from a distance without interfering with police operations. But officers arrested them, used force, or ordered them to leave the scene entirely." The DOJ says Phoenix officers don't understand free speech.
So that's the first point. The other thing is sometimes you're asked questions designed in a way or other folks are being recorded, and we forget that in the public, as public employees, there's no reasonable expectation to privacy. So people don't need your permission to record in public. So please keep that in mind, because if you do a simple Google search, you'll find that something that a lot of people get pretty passionate about is you don't have my permission to take my video or my photo, my image. And so I would just submit to you, again, check with your chain. We can certainly check with all the city resources. That may or may not be true depending on the situation, but oftentimes public employees and public spaces, that is not necessarily a consideration we have. And then the third point is signage matters. We do work for the public, and we oversee public areas where the public has a right to go. But there are certain restricted areas where the public does not have a reasonable expectation to go. And so be aware of cameras in your building or signage. If it says no trespassing, restricted area, those things matter, so that if you do go to your supervisor, an employee, or other city resource for help, you're able to articulate what those areas are. And if you see an opportunity that we could create better signage, please don't be afraid to let your chain know either. So again, take a deep breath, be calm. It's okay to be considerate and kind as you ask for help, and then come up with a plan together. But the important point is, don't let anyone pull you into a confrontation or saying something, because these videos get posted online. So take that professional step, protect yourself, protect the city. And if you have any questions, please reach out for other resources.
So that's the end of the chief's video. And actually, the guy must have learned something from all the stuff that they did wrong in Phoenix, and actually give some decent advice to the police officers. Remember that you're supposed to be protecting and serving the community. It's not about your feelings. It's not about your ego. But the point is that before this incident, they couldn't shut up on social media and on the internet about how important the community was to them, about how much they care about what the community has to say, about community relations. And now that they've screwed up and the community is outraged, well, that's not really the community. Those are just robots and trolls. The fact is they never cared about their community, as evidenced by the unconstitutional policy where their community is not even allowed to criticize them at city council meetings, which, by the way, has now been rescinded or revoked, whatever the correct word is. It's no longer there because now they realize that they were violating the First Amendment. But now they're still behind the scenes trying to suppress the community. And secretly, they're telling their officers that we did nothing wrong. The whole time, they never mention the law. They never mention the First Amendment. They could care less about constitutional rights. They could care less about the First Amendment. He made clear what they care about, and that is the thin blue line, protecting each other. And that's not surprising, is it? If you're a member of that community, you ought to be outraged. Don't let them suppress you. Remember, they work for you. They are the public servants. And if you look at those government salary websites, you will be shocked at what these tyrants in that one town are making. No wonder they were so happy in their social media presence before people realized what tyrants they were. They are milking the taxpayers, with some of these cops making well into the six figures. And remember, this whole thing kicked off when this woman, Rebecca, was upset that this city attorney was getting a raise, when very clearly he is a terrible city attorney, as evidenced by the fact that he's sitting there watching this First Amendment violation occur pursuant to this policy that codified First Amendment violations during his time as city attorney. Isn't that how government works? You violate the civil rights of your subjects, and you never get fired. In fact, you just get raises for it. And no matter how bad of a job you do, you can never get fired. Part of the way that they do that is suppressing the truth from the public, which they're still clearly doing there. I'll try to stay on top of any further updates, so thanks for watching. And you can follow along at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. So subscribe there and subscribe here. Check to see if you've been unsubscribed. Also, a lot of people aren't getting notifications, but what can I do about it? Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.